Hey, pre-algebra. Welcome to part 2 of lesson 7.2, Understanding the Distance Formula. And if you'll recall, I just want to quickly go over what we did last time, is to find the distance from P to Q. We actually drew a right triangle, figured out the length of the legs, and then put that in the Pythagorean theorem. And the distance formula says that you don't have to have a grid like that. You can figure out the distance of the legs by using the distance formula. So for example, on number 2, P was at -3 and 4, and Q was at 3 and 3. And to find the distance of one of the legs, we would subtract the x values. Okay? This x value is -3, this is 3. So -3 minus 3 is -6. We're talking distance, so we need to think of absolute value, and the absolute value of -6 is 6. It doesn't really matter that we got -6, but the distance is 6. And the other, if we subtract the y's, we'll figure out the length of the other leg. So we've got 4 minus 3. So 4 minus 3 is 1. And going back, we found this distance was 6, this was 1. And then we squared them and found the square root. So once we know that the legs are 6 and 1, we can figure out the distance, which is the hypotenuse. So it would be 6 squared plus 1 squared equals the hypotenuse squared. But again, we find the square root. And if you'll look at number 2, that's exactly what we did. All right. So let's look at a few together on how to do the distance formula. Actually, let's write the distance formula. I want you to write this somewhere, maybe on your paper, maybe in your notebook, but the distance formula. If you want to find the distance between any two points, all you need to know is the ordered pair for those points. But the distance formula is a square root of x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So you subtract the x's, square your answer, subtract your y's, square your answer, add them together, and then find the square root. All right, let's look at, let's do number 2B. 2B says find the distance between each pair of points, and then it says which pair of points are the least distance apart. That's what number 2 says. But let's find the distance between C, which is at 4 and 2, and D, which is at 2 and -6. And what we are going to do is put this in the distance formula. So 4 is x and 2 is y, 2 is x, -6 is y. So in our distance formula, we've got 4 minus 2, those are our x's, squared, plus 2 minus -6 squared. Well, 4 minus 2 is 2 squared plus 2 minus a -6. Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So 2 plus 6 is 8. We're squaring that. And then 2 squared is 4, plus 8 squared is 64. 64 plus 4 is 68. So we need to find the square root of 68. Get our calculator. And 68, enter, let me make that a decimal, is about 8.24. We're rounding to the nearest tenth, so the 2 stays where it is. It's about 8.2. and we aren't given a unit, so it's 8.2 units. So these 2 points, C and D, are 8.2 units apart. All right. Let's look at number 8. Number 8 says the positions of a boat and a lighthouse are shown on the grids. Each unit on the grid equals 1/2 mile. We are going to save this for the very end. We're going to find how far is the boat from the lighthouse. Here's the boat, here's the lighthouse. So we're finding the distance. Well, our 2 points, the boat is at 2 and 3. The lighthouse is at -3, -4. Okay. 2 is X, 3 is Y, -3 is X, -4 is Y. So let's put that in our formula. 2 minus -3 squared, those are our X's, plus 3 minus -4 squared. Okay. And then you could just put that all in your calculator. You just have to be careful when you do so. I'm going to go ahead and simplify it a little bit before I get my calculator out. 2 minus -3 is the same thing as 2 plus +3. 3 minus -4 is the same thing as 3 plus +4. So this is going to be 5 squared plus 7 squared. So we are finding the square root of 5 squared plus 7 squared. Now let's get our calculator. Square root 5 squared plus 7 squared. Enter. Oh, I need an. All right, so it is 8.60 blah, blah, blah. And that would be about 8.6 units. Okay, that's the units on here. But now we need to figure this out. Each unit on the grid is 1/2 mile. So if I have 8.6 units, I got to divide it by 2 to figure out how many miles, because each 2 units make a mile. Does that make sense? 2 units make 1 mile. So if I have 8.6 units, I'm going to do 8.6 divided by 2, because 2 of them make a mile, and you get 4.3. So the answer is 4.3 miles. The boat takes 20 minutes to travel to the lighthouse. Find the speed of the boat in miles per hour. So it is going 4.3 miles in 20 minutes. So that is our rate, 4.3 miles in 20 minutes. That's the rate of speed, but we want to find the speed in miles per hour. So I need to take 20 minutes and turn it to 1 hour. How do I make 20 minutes turn into 1 hour? Well, we multiply by 3 so that we get 60 minutes. Okay. The 60 minutes is 1 hour, but I've got to multiply this times 3. So 4.3 times 3 is 12.9. So we've got 12.9 miles in 60 minutes, or 12.9 miles per hour. There's the speed. All right, class, I would like for you to figure out the distance on the remaining ones on A, B, C, D, and then find which pair of points are the least distant apart. And then I would like for you to do 7. 7 is the other one. So good luck. This should be the end of 7.2, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.